This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Cobra Resources have announced successful results from bench-scale in-situ recovery trials at their Boland Rare Earth Project in Australia. The trial confirms that the ISR process is both low-cost and environmentally friendly, with recoveries of 50% total rare earth oxide, that's TREO, and 48% magnet rare earth oxide. And optimization tests have shown potential recoveries for up to 88% for key rare earths like neodymium and dysprosium. Well, the CEO, Rupert Virchow, is joining us today. Thank you for your time, Rupert. How are you?
I'm very well, Mark. Thanks for having me again.
It was all good to be talking to you. We're going through these bench scale tests, these MET tests for, of course, the Rare Earth Project. So just remind us of the tests that are going on, because I know last time we spoke about other tests that were going on where you'd seen, high recovery rates for terbium, for example, and of course the magnet rare earths. But I think this is the first time we're seeing that TREO, 48% there.
Sure. So, look, the test work that we're working through at the moment with ANSTO is really underway in two streams. We have a column bench study, which is what these results relate to, which is aimed at demonstrating the in-situ recovery process. So in-situ recovery is using the permeability of the geology or the ore body to confine your lixiviants and to bypass traditional infrastructure required for material handling and processing. So it's very low cost and low impact. And what these results that we've announced today demonstrate is that our ore body is amenable to in-situ recovery. We're getting recoveries of, we're talking about a very high-grade ore here, Mark. It's nearly 0.5% in TREO, total rare earth oxides. And we're at 50% recoveries. The test work's still underway. Recoveries are still going, so we expect to see that increase. And then what we've been doing in parallel with this work is a number of optimising tests where we're looking at how we can adjust or modify our lixiviant to maximise those recoveries. And what we're seeing through those optimisation tests is we're getting exceptional, very high recoveries, up to 88% terbium, which is a very high-value heavy rare earth, with only minor adjustments in the pH or through increasing the acidity slightly. So all very encouraging, and it bodes well for Boland to be a very low-cost source of critical minerals.
Okay, so the bench scale tests are effectively replicating in the lab on a small scale what you would want to replicate in the field in terms of the actual ISR process, i.e. putting the solution down, leaching it through and recovering it.
Absolutely, you've explained very well.
Okay, and then the further test, the lixiviant test, that's optimizing. So how would that fit into the picture here? Would you change the sort of lixiviants that you put in the ground to extract different rare earths depending on what's more mineralized or what you want to extract for more economical purposes?
There's two components. One, we want to be able to manage both impurities and the cost of the acid consumption, two very important economic factors. What our test work is showing that even when we drop our acidity, the increases in acid consumption and the effect on the impurities coming into the solution are relatively benign. We're still seeing so much more rare earths in the solution that it justifies that drop in the acidity, and it mitigates any increases in costs. And based on the impurity ratios, we still believe that we'll be able to apply a very simplistic purification route. So it's all very encouraging indicators for a low-cost flow sheet.
Okay, yeah, I know we talked about last time the low levels of impurities and that acid consumption there. You're able to get good recoveries, which, yes, is good for economics. So that's how the pH levels fit into this RNS today. Then that's the sort of testing that's going on, trying different levels of acidity.
That's correct.
Okay, yeah. And I know the RNS mentioned further dropping to a pH of 2 could increase further. So again, is this continuing just to do different optimizing tests?
That's essentially what we've done. I think we've done enough optimizing work now to really go and demonstrate that through further bench scale studies, but we want to be able to take this to a field test. And what we're really looking to work to now, Mark, is we feel like this is a very important milestone for the company. We've demonstrated the capability of our ore body to be able to be amenable to in-situ recovery. So now we're going to look to define the scale of the opportunity. We want to go out and build a scalable resource that can support the economic analysis of what we potentially have here.
Okay, so you're saying that you're sort of ready to go into the field with it, into practice?
When we did this drilling at the start of the year, we actually installed a well field, so 5 wells that have the infrastructure in place, if you may, to facilitate this in the field. We obviously have some further tests to go. We're working through our baseline environmental studies, but everything is very positive for us to be able to put this into play in the near future.
Right, and what does near future mean, Rupert? Famous question.
Well, look, we obviously have some regulatory approvals to work through, and we need to define what our flow sheet process may look like. But if, from a cost perspective, we could consider that we may be able to do something where we can demonstrate the process, produce a pregnant solution by circulating the ISR process in the field to produce rare earths in solution and take that to a pilot plant elsewhere, such as ANSTO, to do the purification and production process. Okay. So that's work that we're currently defining and trying to understand how it may look and how we may best execute.
Right. Okay. And I mean, you said in the RNS that you're quite excited about the results here, and it puts you in the lowest quartile of miners globally. So I mean, if we were to just think about things in sort of layman's terms here, are the economics adding up at the moment?
I think we're seeing the right indicators, Mark. We haven't done the work to demonstrate that yet, but certainly low acid consumption, low impurities, high recoveries of ionic mineralisation. If you look at ISR mines globally in the uranium industry and the capex associated with them is generally 10 to 15% of a conventional hard rock mine, and operationally you run at very low operational costs. Okay. So with all those factors in mind, we believe that we can be very cost competitive with our production of critical minerals being heavy rare earths.
Okay, good. So what comes next then? I mean, there's a couple of things. I guess you talked about designing that flow sheet so you could start demonstrating in the field. I did notice as well in the RNS there was a comparison to Southern China ISR recovery. I don't know if you want to sort of copy that model, but of course the RNS talked about the approvals are in place to commence resource drilling as a precursor to a scoping study. So what's sort of coming next? Scoping study, flow sheet, getting into the field. What can we look out for?
So firstly, we'll be back out resource drilling, defining, we've de-risked our resource drilling by reanalysing historic holes. We've demonstrated a significant footprint, and now we need to go back and infill that work to define a JORC compliant resource that will support a scoping study. We'll have some further test work to firm up our flow sheet through the purification and precipitation processes to produce a saleable product. And then we'll also be looking at that adapt shape, applying that ISR process in the field, Mark. So lots of work streams to work through. And it's probably also important to point out that the column bench scale ISR study is still underway. We haven't finished it. We expect these recoveries to continue to increase, and we'll update the market accordingly.
Excellent. Okay, so yeah, a lot going on then, Rupert. At least 3 or 4 things to look out for then. Q4, we can expect some of these milestones to be hit, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. We'll start to see a lot of progress and look forward to pushing it into 2025.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time. Rupert Vercoe, CEO of Cobra Resources.
Thanks, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.